Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to our class. Again, this is Teacher Kina, and today we will continue our topic, fraction. Okay, we had this one last time, the part one, and now we are in part two because there's so much to learn about fraction, and I don't want to proceed without discussing and making sure that you understand everything, especially the vocabularies and the types of fractions, the comparing fractions. You should know that. So that's why I want to make sure that everybody got to catch up and understand everything. Okay, so now we will review a little bit of the types of fractions, comparing fractions, and ordering of fractions. Okay, about the ordering, last time we were not able to discuss one more topic about um, um, comparing um, dissimilar fractions whose numerators and denominators are not the same. Okay, that's what we're going to discuss today. All right, let's proceed. Let's have a short review. What are the proper fractions? Proper fractions are the fractions where the numerator or the number above is lesser than the denominator. Okay, so that is a proper fraction. Okay, you see the numerators are smaller than the denominator. Okay, so these are proper fractions. So next, improper fractions. What are improper fractions? These are the fractions where the numerators are greater than the denominator. Okay, you see here 5 is greater than 2. Or if the numerator and the denominators are both the same, or if they are equal, then it's also an improper fraction. Okay, numerator and denominator is the same, that is improper fraction. Numerators are bigger than the denominator, then that is an improper fraction. Okay, here the mixed fraction, we call it mixed because there is a whole number and there is a fraction. Okay, put up together, then that's called a mixed fraction. Others also call it mixed number. Right. So we also discussed last time the similar or like fractions. What are these fractions? These are the fractions whose denominators are all the same. Okay, like 1/8, 3/8, 2/8, 5/8. Their denominators are all the same. Okay, how about dissimilar or unlike fractions? These are the fractions whose denominators are not the same. Okay, like 1/5, 3/7, 2/3, 5/9. These are called dissimilar or unlike fractions because of their denominators are not equal. They are not the same. Okay, there is also another kind of dissimilar fractions where their numerators are all the same. Okay, then that is also a dissimilar. As long as the denominators are not the same, then that is dissimilar fractions. Okay, so here for similar fractions, okay, you see their denominators are all the same. To be able to identify which one is smaller, we will look at their numerators. The smaller the numerator, the smaller the fraction. Okay, so 1/8 is the smaller here, the smallest or the least fraction. Next is 2/8, next is 3/8, next to 3 is 4, and then the greatest is 5. Okay, here, for dissimilar fractions whose numerators are all the same is the opposite way around. The greatest denominator is the least fraction. Okay, so this is the least fraction. 2/9. Next to 2/9 is 2/8. Okay, and then 7, 2 sevenths, and then 6, and lastly 2 fifths. Okay, we have noticed here the biggest denominator is the least fraction, and the least denominator or the smallest denominator is the greatest fraction. Okay, that is only for um, numerators are all the same. Okay, how about this one? This is the one that we're going to discuss today. Okay, both the numerators and the denominators are not the same. So how are you going to identify which one is smaller and which one is greater here? Okay, so it's a bit complicated, yeah? So let's do it one by one. For comparing with a lot of numbers or fraction, let's discuss it with two fractions first, so it'll be easier for you. Okay, so let's try first 2/4 and 3/8. Okay, if without looking at these figures below, okay, without looking that, are you able to identify which is smaller or greater fraction? Okay, it's a little bit tricky, right? But actually, it's so easy. If you only understand the concept, then any fraction you'll be able to identify which is smaller or greater, whether it's a dissimilar fraction, similar fraction, proper fraction, improper fraction. It'll be so easy for you. Okay, that's why we're here to teach you that. Okay, so now let's try 2/3 and 3/4. Numerators are not the same, denominators are not the same. So which is smaller and which is greater? What do you think? Okay, it's a little bit tricky, right? If only the denominators are the same, it should be easier, a lot easier. But actually we can do that. That is the best way we can do to be able to identify which is greater and which is smaller. Okay, how are we going to do that? We're going to make a new fraction out of these fractions. Okay, so these are the given fractions, 2/3 and 3/4. We're going to make a new fractions that are equivalent to these fractions, and then these fractions that we're going to make will are similar fractions. Okay, or their denominators should be the same. So we can identify which one is smaller and which one is greater. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to find the least common multiple. Okay, but what is a least common multiple? Okay, that is actually the multiples of the denominator here. Okay, what is multiple? Okay, do you know how to skip counting? Like, okay, here the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 4, because the denominator is 3 and 4. So how are you going uh, to identify what are the multiples of 3? Okay, you try to skip counting from 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, same with 4. Just keep counting by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And then if you noticed, similar multiples, like similar, it means the same. Okay, so you see there are already multiples here, the same multiples here, that is 12. Okay, there's no 9 in 4, there's no 6 in 4, there's no 3 over here, but there is 12 and there is 12. So that means 12 is the least common multiples of 3 and 4. Okay, so now that we have 3 and 4, um, 3 and 4's least common multiple, which is 12, we're going to make this the denominator of our new fraction. I told you a while ago, right? We're going to make a new fraction whose denominators are equal. So it will be easier for us to identify which is smaller and which is greater fraction. So in here, since the least common multiple that we got is 12, then that will be our new denominator. Okay, so it's here. So now the problem is, how are you going to locate, how are you going to find the numerator? Okay, it's here. What are you going to multiply to 3 that is equal to 12? Again, what are you going to multiply to 3 that is equal to 12? I mean that will make a product of 12. So 3 times what? 3 times 4 equals 12, right? Whatever you multiply down here, you will also do it up here. So multiply 4. So since 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 4 is 8. Now that is our new fraction. 2/3 is equal to 8 twelfths. Now let's do the same to this fraction on the right. 3/4. What are we going to multiply to 4 that will come up to the product of 12? 4 times 3, yes. So since you multiplied 3 over here, we will also do the same up here. So 3 times 3 equals 9. Now that is the new fraction. Now you see we already have the same denominators over here, 12 and 12. Now as I told you a while ago, if the denominators are the same, it will be easier for us to identify which is smaller or greater number. So in here, what do you think is the greater number? I mean greater fraction. Is it the 8/12 or the 9/12? Of course, it is the 9/12. And since 9/12 is equal to 3/4, then that means 3/4 is greater than 2/3. Okay, so 9/12 is greater than 8/12. So the answer is 3/4. Okay, since 2/3 is equal to 8/12 and 3/4 is equal to 9/12, then 2/3 is less than 3/4, or 3/4 is greater than 2/3. Okay, let's try another example. Which is greater, 9/15 or 8/10? What do you think? Okay, let's try to find their LCM, least common multiple. Okay, so let's start with the multiples of 15 and 10. What are the multiples? 15, 30, 45, 60. Okay. Now for 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. But as long as you find the two common multiple, then you can stop right there. You don't need to proceed up to whatever. Okay, since we already have here 30 and 30, then that is their least common multiple. Again, this least common multiple will be the new denominator. That's why we have 30 here as the new denominator. Now let's find the numerator. How are you going to find the numerator? Whatever you multiply down here, you multiply above, so you will get the numerator. Okay, so 5 times what equals 30? 15. 15 times what equals 30? 15 times 2. So since we multiply 2 over here, then we multiply 2 up here. 9 times 2 equals 18. So 9/15 is equal to 18/30. Okay, now let's proceed to the other fraction. What are you going to multiply to 10 that will come up to the product of 30? 10 times 3, right? So we multiply the same up here. 8 times 3. So the answer is 24. Now that we have um, both of the new fractions have their numerators and their denominators are both the same, then that will be easier for us to identify which is smaller and which is greater. Okay, so since here 18 and 24, which one is greater? Is it 18 or 24? Of course, 24. So that means 8/10 is greater. Okay, 8/10 because 8/10 is equal to 24 over 30. All right. Now here, let's try to order. Now that we know how to compare, we will try to order fractions. To order fractions, we will still do the same. Find the least common multiple. Okay, if no numerators are the same and no denominators, of course, it's similar. Actually, there are a lot of ways to find the least common multiple, but this one that I'm showing you is just one of um, one one method of finding the least common multiple. But maybe we'll have some other topic where we will learn different methods of finding the least common multiple. But in here, I will show you only one method, and that is this one, finding the multiples. Okay, the skip counting. Okay, so since we have 4 fractions over here, then that means we'll have 4 denominators. Okay, let's start with 3 and 4. So these are the multiples: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. How about 4? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And then the 6 and the 2. 6, 12, 18, 24, and so on. And so with the 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, now before you proceed to more multiples, you try to see if you already got uh, a common multiple of these 4 denominators. Okay, have you found? Okay, 3, we don't have 3 here. 6, we don't have 6 in 4. 9, there's no 9 in 4. How about 12? Yes, we have 12. We have 12. We have 12. And we have 12. Now we got the least common multiple of these denominators of these fractions. Okay, what are we going to do next? Now that we got the least common multiple, which is 12, it will be easier for us to identify which fraction is least and which fraction is the greatest. Okay, let's make our new fractions. Okay, let's start with here. This is our new denominator 12. Okay, this is our new denominator 12. New denominator 12 and new denominator 12 over here. Okay, what will you multiply to 2 that is equal to 12? Okay, 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Now, that since that is 6 over there, you multiply here with 6 also. So the new fraction is 6 12th. Okay. How about this? What will you multiply to 4? That will come up with the product 12. 4 times what? 4 times 3 equals 12. We do the same here. 3 times 3. Okay, because it's 3 here, so we should multiply 3 also above here. So the answer is 9. Okay, next. What will you multiply to 6? That is equal to 12. 6 times 2. Since we multiply that to 2, we will also multiply 2 over here. So 5 times 2 equals 10. So it's 10 12. And the last one is, what will you multiply to 3? Okay, we will multiply 3 with 4. So 3 times 4 equals 12. And then since we multiply 4 over here, we multiply also above times 4. Okay, now 2 times 4 equals 8. Now we got the new fractions. Okay, we have here 6 twelfths. We have 9 twelfths. Okay, let's try to erase this over here so there will be no, not so much mess. Okay, so here's our new fractions. 6 12, 9 12, 10 12, 8 12. So which do you think is the smallest fraction here? Okay, you try to look at their equivalent fraction. Okay, if the denominators are all the same, the smallest fraction, smallest numerator is the smallest fraction. So in here, it's 6, 9, 10, and 8. So it's 6, right? That means 6, 12 is the least. Okay, when we arrange this in ascending order, that means we will start from the least going to the greatest fraction. So what is next to 6 12? Of course, 8. So it's 8 12. Okay, what's next to 8 12? Of course, it's 9. So it's 9 12. And 10. So it's 10 12. Okay, now that we have arranged this in order, in ascending order, we'll try to identify the given fractions. Okay, so 6 8 is this one. So this is the least. Second is 2/3. Third is 3/4, and the greatest is 9 12. So this is, oops, okay. So that's how to order fractions that are dissimilar. Okay, dissimilar fractions where there is no common or no um, numerators the same and denominators are also not the same. So that's how we do it. Now, do you want to try one more? Okay, as you can see here, we have 3 8, so we can just make one of it, and 2 4. Okay, so um, basically we only have 3 um, denominators here because the others are just a repeated number. So we'll find the multiples of 2, the multiples of 4, and the multiples of 8. So let's start, keep counting. And here we got, okay, let's try to add more until we find a common multiple. Okay, there's, right, so have you seen a common multiple? It is 8. All right, so that means 8 is our new denominator. Okay, we also have 16. But since we're talking about least common multiple, least means the smallest. So 8 is smallest than 16, so we're going to use 8 as the new least common multiple. I mean, new denominator. All right. So here is our new table. All right, since we have now the least common multiple, let's proceed to making our new fractions. Okay, new similar fractions. So our new denominator is 8, right? Okay, so let's make our new denominators here 8. Okay, since we already have the similar fractions here, it will be so much easy to identify and order fractions. All right, so 8, what will you multiply to 8? 8 times 1 equals 8. So 8 times 1, 7 times 1 is 7. Okay, 2 times what? 2 times, what will you multiply to 2? That is equal to 8. 2 times 4 equals 8. So we also multiply here 4 times 4. Then the answer is 1 times 4 is 4. Easy, right? Sorry. Okay. Next, what will you multiply to 4 to come up with 8? 4 times 2. So since we multiply there 2, we will also multiply here 2. So 3 times 2 equals 6. Now we have 6, 8. Next, 8, of course, 1. 8 times 1 equals 8. 3 times 1 equals 3. Okay, we just copy. Next, 8 times 8 equals, 8 times 1 equals 8. 5 times 1 equals 5. Okay, remember, whatever you multiply below, you multiply above. All right, now here, 4 times what? 4 times 2 equals 8. Now we also multiply here 2 because we multiply 2 below. So 1 times 2 equals 2. All right, now we have our new fractions. Easy, right? Okay, now that we have our new fractions, it will be so much easy for us to identify and order fractions. Okay, let's try here. Which one is smallest? Which one do you think? Okay, since here, which numerator is the smallest? The numerator 2 is the smallest, right? We have here 3, 5, 6, 4, and 7. So 2 is the least numerator. Then since that is the least numerator, then we're not going to use this new fraction over here, but we will arrange this given fractions, the original given fractions. So we will put here 1/4 as the least fraction. Okay, next to 1/4 is, dun, 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 of course, is 3. Okay, so it is 3/8, right? Okay, next. What's next to 3? Of course, next to 3 is 4. So it's 1/2. Next to 4 is, it's here, 5. So the next fraction is 5/8. Okay, next to 5 is 6. And 6 is over here. What happened to my marker? Oh, here. And it's, the original fraction is 3/4. Okay, next, lastly, the last fraction is 7/8. Okay, it's 7/8, the same. Okay, so now we were able to order this in ascending order. Okay, that means 1/4 is the least fraction, And 7/8 is the greatest fraction. Easy, right? Okay, do you have any questions on this? Okay, so the least common multiple is 8. That's why we made it as our new denominator. And now that we have the new denominator, we can we can already make a similar fraction. Okay. Okay, that's what we did a while ago. All right, and that's it. Okay, now let's try to order this in ascending order, just like what we did a while ago. Let's try this a bit faster this time. Okay, multiples of 4, multiples of 5, and multiples of 8. Okay, since those are our denominators. So let's start with 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Okay, next is 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay, and 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Why did we stop there? Because there is already a common multiple. Which one? Oh, there is 40. So we can stop there already. Now let's proceed with our new fractions. Okay, with 40 as our denominators, of course. Denominator. Okay, here, let's try to make our new fraction. Okay, denominator is, oh here. Denominator is 8, oh, 40. 40, 40 over here, and 40 over here. Okay, so what will you multiply to 5? That is equal to 40. To get 40, 5 times 8. 5 times 8 equals 40. So since we multiplied here 8, then we multiply here 8 also above. 1 times 8 is 8. So we have 8, 40. Now how about 8? 8 times what equals 40? 8 times 5. So since 8 times 5 equals 40, we'll multiply here 3 times 5 equals 15. Okay, easy, yeah? Next, 4 times what equals 40? 4 times 10. Since we multiply there 10, then we will multiply here 10. Now 3 times 10 equals 30. All right. Now it's easier for us to identify which fraction is least and which fraction is the greatest. So we start with 8 as the least numerator. So it's 1/5 as the least fraction. Okay. Next is 15 and 30. So it's 3/8. 3/8 as the next fraction, and the greatest fraction is 3/4. Okay, when we put symbols over here, 1/5 is less than 3/8, and 3/8 is less than 3/4. Okay, or 3/4 is more than 3/8, and 3/8 is more than 1/5. That's easy, yeah? Okay, so that's how you're gonna do it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bonus trick. Okay, I mean to give you this bonus trick so you don't have to find the least common multiple to identify the greater or the smaller fraction. Okay, like in here, you just simply cross multiply. Okay, do the butterfly thing like this. 2 times 4 equals 8. Now 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. Now which is greater, 8 or 9? Since 9 is greater than 3/4 is greater than 2/3. Easy, yeah? Okay, let's try another example. This one. Let's cross multiply. 6 times 8 equals 48. Okay. Now 7 times 10 equals 70. Now let's see who is greater, 48 or 70. Since 70 is greater than that, means 7/8 is greater than 6/10. Easy, yeah? Easy, so much easy. If only you try to understand, open up your mind and understand the concept, it will be so much easy for you to think and understand. Okay? So since this, you know the trick already, so it will be easier for you to identify um, fractions and order them even without finding the least common multiple. But of course, the proper way, you should also know um, how to, the correct method of finding, so you know the trick, yeah? Okay, so in here, we can actually use that cross multiplication. Okay, let's not use this common multiple thing. 1 times 8 equals 8. 5 times 3 equals 15. That means 3/8 is more than 1/5. Now let's try to see which is greater over here. Okay, let's erase this. Where's my eraser? Okay, here. Let's see. 3 times 4 equals 12. And 8 times 3 equals 24. That means 3/4 is more than 3/8. Okay, our answers are all the same. Actually, in math, there are a lot of ways and methods to solve and finding the answers. Um, as long as the answers are the same, whatever method you did, whatever method you do, that is correct. Okay, so you can make your own method to find the answer. Okay, mathematics, that's all for. Okay, we don't have enough time, so that's all for our part 2. Now, actually, there's still so much more to discuss about fraction, and so with our next video, we will still discuss about fraction, but with different subtopics. Okay, so that's all for today. See you again next time. Bye.